Greetings, it's Iain from RTO here. Welcome to another very cold day. Winter woolies is a must round here. Outside, we've had a little bit of snow, but it looks like someone's got the icing sugar and sprinkled it over a Victoria sandwich, so there's not much out there. Anyway, to keep us warm, we've got an album ranking for you, and it's sort of continuing on from Siouxsie and the Banshees. You couldn't do Siouxsie and the Banshees without doing the Creatures. Of course, it's an offshoot of Siouxsie and the Banshees, put together by Siouxsie Sioux and Peter Clark, or as we know him as, Budgie. I've included the 4 albums and the 2 EPs because you couldn't leave them out. I quite like these. It's a little bit different from Siouxsie and the Banshees. It shows what a good percussionist Budgie is. So we'll have a look at the 6 releases of the Creatures. So coming in at number 6, we have the 4th and final studio album that was released in 2003, and it's called Ha or Hi. So the first track on here is called Say Yes. Now, I like the percussion from Budgie, very cleverly put together. It really shows what a good drummer percussionist he is. It's a very strange track, but very clever in the same breath. I quite like that. Then we get Around the World. Now, this is my favourite track on the album. It's a great vocal from Siouxsie. It's got some vibraphone in that percussion. It's just an excellent track. Then we get 7 Tears. Although it's a pretty good track, it's 7 minutes long, and I think that's just a little bit too long. There's some nice highlights in there. There's some nice little keys in there. It's a good vocal, but it's just far too long for this style of music. Then we get Godzilla. Nothing to do with Blue Oyster Cult. Great vocal from Siouxsie on this. And like 7 Tears, this is a shorter, sort of grabs your attention track. Good track. Then we get Imagigoro. I think that's how you pronounce it. A little bit bitty, this one. Doesn't flow very well. It seems like it's 3 or 4 ideas just glued together. It's okay, but it's a little bit disjointed. Tourniquet comes next. I like this song. It's got some lovely tones on this from Budgie on his percussion. Lovely vocal from Siouxsie. I just think the only downside of it is, again, a little bit too long. This comes in at 9 minutes and 19 seconds. Condense it and it'd be an even better track. But on the whole, I like the arrangement. It's just little bits in the middle that should be just chopped away. Further Nearer, another track that's a little bit disjointed, but on the upside, a great vocal from Siouxsie. City Island comes now. This is very atmospheric. This is 6 minutes, but it's atmospheric and it takes you sort of on a little journey. Just nice sounds. It sounds really good under the headphones. Then we have Tantara. Some great percussion here from Budgie. Again, it's just got a wonderful atmosphere to it. Yeah, this album is a bit of a mixed bag. I like a lot of the structure of the song. There's just a couple on here that are a little bit too long, and they sort of wander a bit. And there's a little bit of some disjointed tracks as well. But on the whole, it's still a good listen. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 6 out of 10. Okay, and coming at number 5, we have the EP that was released in 1981, and it's called Wild Things. Now, the first track on here is called Mad Eyed Screamer. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant track. I love the drumming from Budgie. It's got that grittiness. Siouxsie's vocals are on form again. It's just a real interesting track, and a departure from Siouxsie and the Banshees. So Unreal comes next. Great drumming here again from Budgie. Another fantastic vocal from Siouxsie. Absolutely killer track. Then we get my favourite track on this EP, and it's one of my favourite tracks by The Creatures, and it's called But Not Them. I think this is one of Budgie's finest drumming performances. It just proved what a great drummer he is for this sort of music. You can say is artistic, very, very good. Wild Thing, fine vocal from Siouxsie, absolutely on the money again. Then we get Thumb, the one that's a little bit disjointed, but it's still a good track. This is a good little EP. It's raw, and that's what I like about it. There's some very complex drumming on it from Budgie, and it's just to say how they bring this to life with a very limited instruments on it. So Siouxsie brings the tracks to life with her amazing voice. So I'm going to give this one an RTO ranking of 6.5. Okay, coming in at number 4, we have the other EP, A Razor Cut. It contains 4 unreleased songs taken from Anima Animus recording sessions which took place between 1995 and 1996. So the first one on here is Pinned Down, my favourite track on here. I like the haunting vocal from Siouxsie. There's some little bells in it as well. It's quite creepy in a good way. Guillotine comes next, a very strong track, some lovely guitar pieces on this, and a fantastic vocal from Siouxsie as ever. Then we get Thank You. I'm not so keen on this one. The drumming has sort of been muffled a little bit, and Siouxsie's vocals are a bit distorted. I like that, but it's the drums. It seems like the power's been taken away from Budgie. And the last one on here is Slipping Away. Great vocals, got some sort of nice keyboard runs in this. It's a great way to end another good EP. Really good EP. A little bit of some nice structure to the songs. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 7 out of 10. We come to the top 3. This was tough because these are really good albums. Coming in at number 3, we've got the debut album from 1983, Feast. Starts off with the great Warning Dawning. The vocal is here. It's hollow, it's daunting, it's atmospheric. Very good track. Then we got Inner Ole, very tribal with the drums. Nice echo on it. Some sort of vocal from Siouxsie. It's not actual singing, but it's a very sort of a chant. Very, very good track. Ice House comes next. Great drumming here from Budgie. One of the best tracks on the album. There's nothing quite like this one on here. It's fantastic. Dancing on Glass is next. This is Budgie's best drumming on this album. It's so precise. It's so it's very tight. Great little track and a stunning vocal from Siouxsie. Then we have Gecko, quirky little track. I like the percussion and the arrangement of this one. Skytrain, probably my least favourite on here because I think this just doesn't gel with me. It's a little bit disjointed in places. Festival of Colours, my favourite track on this one. It's some combination of great percussion and a strong vocal from Siouxsie that just makes it something special. Miss the Girl is Now. I love the use of vibraphone on this. Gives it an extra depth. It's got a lovely tone to it. Then the next track is a traditional Hawaiian song called A Strutting Rooster. This is a real showboat here for Budgie to show his sort of percussion skills, and it's got that sort of tribal feel to it again. It's very, very good. Then we get Flesh. It's again not one of the best track on the album, but it is a good track. It's got some nice guitar and it's a good vocal. Was certainly a departure from Siouxsie and the Banshees. It took a little while to get used to, but I quite like what they've done here. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 7.2. Okay, then coming in number 2, we have the third album released in 1999, and it's called Anima Animus. Now, I've actually got this on cassette. I think I got it for about 50 pence or something ridiculous. I haven't played it for such a long time, but obviously the beauty of Spotify, I was able to listen to it. Second Floor is the first track. This is quite dancey sort of feel to it. It's a great vocal from Siouxsie. It's really upbeat. I quite like that. Disconnected, my favourite track on here. It is one of the only tracks that's very similar to what Siouxsie and the Banshees was sort of doing around that time. It's very quirky, quite commercial for a Creatures track, and I do like it. Turn It On. You never thought a bit of drumming and singing would be quite good. It is, because that's all it is a bit of drumming and Siouxsie singing. But it's a really good track. Take Mine. It's just amazing how Siouxsie can make it, put a lot of energy and preciseness into this track, because basically she's just following Budgie's drum beat, but she makes it sound, if she's doing the melodies and the bass line just with her voice, it's a really strong track. Second favourite track on here. I love the little bit of guitar in this. It's just one of them little quirky songs. I Was Me. It's a great song. Siouxsie's best vocal on this album, in my opinion, and some nice percussion from here. There's some sort of synthesizer that holds the song together. Prettiest Queer Thing. Quite an atmospheric piece of music. I love the gentle drum here, that he creates this really nice atmosphere, does Budgie. Exterminating Angel. Bit repetitive in places. Probably one of my least favourite tracks by the Creatures. Another Planet. Now this is probably one of the heaviest tracks I think the Creatures ever did. Great drumming. It's really loud and raucous. Great vocal. You get a little bit of dance at the beginning. It really is a good track. Don't Go to Sleep Without Me. Another good track. We've got some nice guitar bits on here. Probably played by Siouxsie. It's a great way to end the album. We've got some saxophone on it, and it always gives it a little bit of depth. I think this is an excellent album. I really enjoy playing this one again. I must get this album at some stage, I think. CD or album, because I just think it's a weird and wonderful album. It sounds fantastic under the headphones. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 7.6. But my number one album is the second album from 1985, and it's Boomerang. Got some guests on here. We've got Peter Thomas on trombone, Gary Barnacle on the saxophone, Enrico Tassamo on trumpet, Martin McCormick on accordion, and we've got some flamenco performers in Antonio Patrida, Domenico Ortega, Eva Ruiz Vadero, Ina Ortega, Nuria Fernandez, and Rafael Cancelo. So the first track on here is called Standing There. I love the percussion on this. You get some lovely drums. It's quite exceptional on that. Very good. Man Child is fantastic. It's got that Spanish flavour. The trumpets come through. You can imagine someone there with some castanets and all the Spanish dancing. I really like that track. Probably the weakest track on the album for me. It just bit disjointed. Doesn't really ring. Pity is the next track. It's got that Caribbean oil drum sound on it, which is really nice. It's a great vocal from Siouxsie, the best vocal on here from her on the album. Killing Times, one of my favourite vocals again by Siouxsie. Not just as it was the Creatures, but as Siouxsie and the Banshees. It's just brilliant. There's a great video of her performing this live on YouTube, and I'll put it on because it is an absolutely amazing track, and it's a fine performance live as well. Willow comes next. Now this is a little short, sharp track, but it's my favourite. They've introduced harmonica. It's got a bluesy twang to it, and I love that. It is a fabulous song. Pluto Drive, great track. The melody's great, the percussion's good, the vocals quirky, great track. Solar Choir, very ambient. There's lots of little bits of daunting vocal from Siouxsie on that one. Speeding, we've got a quirky little track with an accordion. Now who would think you'd get accordion on a Creatures track, but we do. It's quite fun, this track, very quirky. Furry Eyes, the vibraphone comes out for this one, absolutely brilliant. Great vocal from Siouxsie, really like that track. Then we have Fruitman, strange track. It's a fantastic vocal. It's Siouxsie doing her weird sort of vocal and putting there's a lot of passion in this. Really good. Then we have United Undone. Sorry. Love this track. It's got a little bit of a jazzy sort of sound to it. The percussion is great. Then we have Sea Moon, a little bit more vibraphone, and you can't go wrong with that. I love the percussion. Some great little bit of string on here. It's a great vocal from Siouxsie. Strolling Rolf, saxophones and percussion. Again, it's very jazzy and it's quirky. I really enjoy that track. Venus Sands, it's the second favourite track for me. Again, it's got that lovely percussion and ambience. It really gives you that little sort of bobby up and down thing. And then we have Morena. This is the last track. Again, wonderful ambient track to end the album. Fine vocal from Siouxsie. It is so relaxing. I think this is a brilliant album. There's one track that I'm not keen on, but forget about that. It's got lots of energy, nice different sounds, cultural sounds, a little bit of experimentation. They carried on from what they did on the Animus album. It's got jazz, blues, pop. It's just an all-round great album to listen to. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 8 out of 10. So there we go. A little bit of the Creatures on a Tuesday morning to warm us up. Okay, up next is Retro Ranking, and today we're going to have a look at one of the rock and roll revival bands of the late 70s, and it's Darts. So join me for that. Bye for now.